listen to my review of this album and try to figure out what album it is that I'm reviewing. Don't put your guess in the comment section though, that would ruin it for everybody. Instead, I want you to find a video on my channel, any video you want to do, and leave your guess there in the comments. The first person to guess correctly will have their very own idea made into a video, as long as it pertains in some kind of way to music. The clues in this video could be in the thumbnail, description, the video itself. This is going to be a lot of fun. The opening track of the album, the thing that kicks this album off, is a burst of energy from redacted band members delivering a sound that, while not 100% original, is certainly done to peak performance by their six hands. And in the decades since this album's release, this opening track is not a single, but does very well live and does very well even amongst the most casual of fans. Not you guys, though. Anger, sadness, loneliness built up to their breaking point on the second track, which by any decade standard is pretty aggressive and offensive to some people. Craziness, revenge, and a nihilistic approach to life that will have you crying your eyes out if you look up the lyrics to the second track. But all you have to care about is that goodness. Just 2 songs into this record, and this album is blasting hard into my feelings, and I kind of find that I do care a lot about what Mr. or Mrs. lead singer is whining about. Self-deprecation mixes up with the outer hatings on the next track, called Redacted, of course, conjuring up images of another species. This is an album written in the throes of young hatred for everything and everyone in sight. A sense of abandonment in the warehouse of our hearts. Duct tape won't do the job, but this form of rock and roll certainly does it right. Mentioned with the opening track, this is an album full of well-known deep cuts, but it's the middle section of this thing that has like 13% of the entire Earth's population singing along to the words. These epic hit singles, known even in the jungles of Waka Flocka Flame Land, are just classics. Track 4 and 5 show 2 different strengths of the record. The former, track 4, being a unique and fresh sound, and the latter, track 5, being the most straight-ahead rocker on the album. And there's quite a bit of straight-ahead rockers on this album, and there's not too many opportunities for any of these redacted humans to pump the brakes, even if they wanted to pump the brakes a little bit. Even if they wanted to, say, pick up a guitar instead of a drum set and throw it around all by themselves, they simply couldn't do that. Or could they? Or he or she. Track 6 shows a different side of the lyrical writing within the band. While the contributions of the other band members are on par with the leader of the band, for such an early placeholder in the track list, I would have expected much more streams on track 6 than it has in 2024. Very surprising. Perhaps the next track has something to do with it, because track 7. Track 7 is not always a ballad. I don't know why everybody keeps saying that. Some drummer was quoted saying that recently, and it's just not true. Track 7 is the ballad like 69% of the time. Ed was called him Al, but it's Ed. Track 7 is not a ballad, but a fast-paced, emotional spillage of the mind, a look into mental torment and turmoil that just rocks hard at the same time. Inspiring guitar riffs, inspiring bass and drum kicks that just still influence the popular music scene today. In this band and in other bands, the impact is an angry cycle of reaching out for help, from the prostitutes to the mental health professionals in the streets. Don't let them get you down. That's a Jesse Malin song. Malin? Jesse Malin. Pretty cool guy. Most of the songs on this record seem to start with one instrument, before the other 2 or 3 explode into the mix. Drums are the most common starting point, but guitars and vocals do kick off some of the tracks as well. And all 3 are just what your shrink ordered. We're on side 2 now. Even as we move to side 2, the quality of the songs only seem to get better, at least consistently as good as side A, with 7 or 8 bangers that really continue the momentum of the redacted first track of the album. Sarcasm blends with the love for the Beatles that you might not notice on first listen or even 50th listen, but by now you should have heard how slathered deep in the crevices of this album that the love of the Beatles is, if you take time to lick it. Angus Young climbing onto the Sather Tower would be an odd description for any guitar work on any record, but I think, "What is this that stands before me?" could be a better quote. That could be a little bit easier for you guys to understand, although I know that you guys are actually smarter than I am, so you guys know what I'm talking about. As I listen to this album, the wind is blowing through my hair, and I'm thinking, I thought therefore I was, but I can't figure it out. That was a random lyric from another place and time. I think I was standing at the edge of the world. Guys, looking back at this record that I've been rambling about without saying the title of, this might not be my favorite record by this band, but gosh poop, it's a 5 out of 5.